I like the setup I have now, but sometimes it's a bit of a reach. Especially when I have to place my computer where it is at the moment. I have notes, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Although it does make... I'm looking at this right now, and it makes a certain part of my area shinier, I guess, than what it needs to be. Okay. Well, I guess I really can't lie about this. Let's just say last night really wasn't what I would consider a great way to kick off these next 100 days. Because I did get into a bit of an argument with my folks. And by a bit of one, I mean, had it not been for the fact that the Masked Singer was on, and I would have missed it, I would have stormed out of the room. I would have stormed out right away. So, I did get to watch The Masked Singer. And it was a very good episode of The Masked Singer. I mean, bro, it was Sesame Street night. Sesame Street night, guys. I'll get into that in a second, but obviously The Masked Singer was my high. And my act of kindness was, I mean, again, everything up until the argument I had with my folks last night was great. So that's why I'm not really considering yesterday a bad day at all. And especially when I brought my exit, well, I have a couple acts of kindness, the chief of which being I helped bring the garbage cans in, as well as, no kidding. Okay, so here's the thing. My mom made spaghetti and meatballs last night. And one of my absolute favorite things she makes is her homemade meatballs. And I actually got to mix them for her. First time ever. First time ever, I got to mix the meatballs myself. I've done a Mom Food Chronicle on my mom's spaghetti and meatballs before. So, I don't think I need to explain much. Outside of the fact that this was the first time I myself have ever, again, mixed. Well, I mixed the ground beef, the breadcrumbs, and the onion, and everything else together. So I did that, and my mom was the one who rolled them into meatballs. So it was cool. I mean, look, making meatballs isn't really rocket science. In fact, it's probably one of the easiest things that a person can do once they at least have the fundamentals of, cooking down. But, it's still great I could do it. I guess you can, cross that off my bucket list. So, let's talk about The Masked Singer. Good morning and happy Thursday, everyone. So, as I said before, it was Sesame Street night, which, I mean, look, it's Sesame Street, guys. Like, I'm hard-pressed to find literally anyone who doesn't like it. I grew up seriously, my parents grew up watching Sesame Street. I grew up watching Sesame Street. My nephews are actually, my brother and his wife don't really let my nephews watch any TV. But they do have Sesame Street related toys. So, Sesame Street is one of those things that is going to be in people's lives forever. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, the fact that, Sesame Street and really anything Muppets related is owned by Disney. And, I mean, say what you want about Disney, but one thing they definitely know is what to market and who to market to. I mean, they don't always land the mark properly, necessarily, mind you. But, when they do, they definitely do it more often than not. And when they do, they really do. So, there you go. And I love that, actually, full disclosure, the argument I got into my folks last night lasted into like 8 o'clock, so I missed the Sesame Street characters performed Dynamite by BTS. I mean, luckily it was on luckily they put it on YouTube a little later, and I have seen it, so it's really cool. Oh, that was really great. And right out of the gate, last week's champion, The Squirrel, sang Just the Two of Us by Grover Washington Jr. and Bill Withers, which I love that song. Like, seriously, that's the kind of song I would sing to a girl I like. Actually, I have a list of songs I would sing to a girl I like, to be sure, and Just the Two of Us would totally be one of them. I just realized that mixtapes are a thing. Actually, does anyone even make mixtapes anymore? I mean, they probably make playlists for iPods, I suppose. But not full on, like, well, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are too young to know what mixtapes are, a long time ago, there were these little tiny rectangles called cassette tapes. They were made of plastic, really relatively lightweight, and they held like recordings of music on them. And in order to play through and how it worked is like it had like some sort of reel that you could wind forward or back to get to a song that you like. I mean, it used to be that it was mixed tapes, then it was mixed CDs. Now it's actually CDs are probably still. Wow, I'm old, guys. I didn't even realize. Do they even make cassette tapes and CDs anymore? Actually, I'm positive they make CDs. Never mind. But I would think the thing to do is now is get like a list of songs to like put it together into a playlist on like an iPod or something. Like basically, if I had a girlfriend, I would totally put Just the Two of Us like on that mixtape, let's say. So actually, come to think of it, every single song that the contestants did were great. I mean, The Fairy did You're No Good by Linda Ronstadt, and Jackalope did Whenever, Wherever by Shakira. And let me tell you, it was not Shakira underneath the Jackalope mask, but that's gotta be the greatest Shakira impersonation I think I've ever heard. It was uncanny. I'm like, and here's where it gets even more uncanny. Like, this might be the first time I've legit tried to guess who was underneath the mask. And I actually had the same idea as one of the judges, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, the squirrel gets eliminated. And it was so funny how, like, Ken Jeong thought it was Katherine Heigl because this contestant has said that she's worked with Ken before. And Ken completely forgot about Couples Retreat. The squirrel turned out to be Malin Ackerman, which I forget how pretty Malin Ackerman is. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I never really see her. Unfortunately, she's never really been in any like good movies. I mean, yeah, Couples Retreat was popular, but again, I never really watched movies that really aren't critically well received. Like, seriously, Couples Retreat has like a 10% Rotten Tomatoes or something. Which, I don't know, I should look up more reviews of these kinds of movies because, yeah, I bet Couples Retreat probably does have a cult following. I just haven't really seen it. The only movie to my knowledge that Malin Ackerman has been in that is really, really good. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I did see, I mean, one of these days I do plan doing a movie on 27 Dresses, and she's in that one. Which is actually interesting because Ken Jeong guessed Katherine Heigl, who was the main character in 27 dresses. So, in a way, Ken really wasn't that far off. But no one's going to acknowledge that. Because y'all are haters. Anyway. Actually, it was funny because Oscar the Grouch was there. And he says, Ken, don't let them bring you down. I like your ideas. Because everyone's groans fill me up with joy. Good old Oscar the Grouch. Now, I love the Sesame Street characters, guys. Oscar the Grouch, Count Von Count, Big Bird, Snuffleupagus, Elmo, Grover, Cookie Monster. I love those guys, man. I mean, actually, a long time ago, back before I hit puberty, there was one thing I could do regarding that. I'll save it for the end. Anyway, Jackalope and Fairy were in the Battle Royale, and Cookie Monster and seriously, first it was Jen McCarthy who said, and now everyone, and the Cookie Monster, it's time for the Battle Royale. Oh, Cookie Monster. Yeah, if I had to pick anyone from Sesame Street I closely relate to, I would say Cookie Monster. I am so Cookie Monster, guys. I said, Cookie! That is me. That is totally me, bro. It's totally me. Love Cookie Monster. So, Jackalope and Fairy did the Battle Royale, and it was On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons, which, you know what? I have to say, there's a lot of songs I hear on the radio a lot. Songs that have been sung on The Masked Singer, in which I can barely make out the lyrics on the radio. When they're on The Masked Singer, I can hear them perfectly. And On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons, which is a song I've heard on the radio a lot over the years, it's a pretty decent song. I don't know what to say. And I can understand it. So I did allude to this earlier, and it turns out that the Jackalope was unmasked, and it was Lele Pons. Actually, another thing to point out, Jen McCarthy was right about both guesses. She was right about Malin Ackerman being the squirrel, and she was right about the Jackalope being Lele Pons. And speaking of Lele Pons, because she's known for doing all sorts of, shorts and TikTok videos and all that stuff. One of the things that she used to do really well, that she admitted, was a Shakira impression. So, you have someone who's able to impersonate Shakira very well, by the way, doing a Shakira song. Seriously, that performance was so good, you'd be hard-pressed to differentiate between the real Shakira and Lele Pons. I mean, it's Shakira. You gotta try everything. Any Zootopia fans out there? No? Any Zootopia fans? I know there's some Zootopia fans out there. Zootopia was such a good movie. There's a lot of movies I gotta do that are Disney related. A lot of them. Well, someday I'll get to it. But, the Fairy is the new champion of Group B. And next week, we have Country Night. Which, you know what, that reminds me. Jennifer Nettles is hosting a Farmer Wants a Wife, was the guest judge. I hope she comes back for Country Night too, because she'd be great at being a guest host for Country. She even said, I'm coming back, guys. So, it'll be interesting to see. Let's see. So all in all, actually, come to think of it, watching The Masked Singer kind of takes some of the sting out of how I was feeling last night after I argued with my parents, so feeling pretty good. Oh, the computer turned off on me. The only thing I really is left to talk about is the fact that today is Thursday, meaning we have hot ones today, and I'm sorry, you guys probably noticed this already, but nothing. A dryer sheet was still in my sleeve. Oh boy. Oh, actually, it feels like there's actually more room now in my sleeve. Hard to believe that, huh? Folks, by the way, for those kids that are watching this, dryer sheets are supposed to prevent your clothes from becoming all staticky as they're drying in the dryer. So, there you go. Although, also, folks, remember to clean out your lint traps. Seriously, do that. I never had a problem with lint traps myself, although I actually learned from that 70s show of all things that lint traps can be fire hazards. I learned that from watching that 70s show, and I've never forgotten it. Okay, so we have hot ones today. Niall Horan is going to be on there, which he's clearly on there to promote The Voice, which I'm all for. I mean, it's Blake Shelton's last season. I would think you want to promote The Voice any way you can. But we can still speculate what other questions Sean's going to ask. Outside of this, listen, of course Sean's going to ask about The Voice. Especially when you stop to consider the fact that this is another question. And this is another question that Sean's probably going to ask. Niall's experience being on one of those reality singing shows. Because that's how Niall Horan got found. He won the singing contest, and he was in the group One Direction. So, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, to be sure. Although I will admit, talking about hot ones tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. Because you have a full-blooded Irishman on Hot Ones today. And tomorrow, which is St. Patrick's Day, I will be talking about that episode. Again, man, it's destiny. The stars aligned for this to happen. And I can't wait. I hope you liked this video. If you did, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. As always, I'm your homemade video. For all you guys want to join me, it'll be a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Remember, if you guys want to talk to me, I'm always going to be here to let me know. Always here back. Take care. Make good choices. 607 all day, baby. You gotta reach. I got it.